start recording on this end right here and test. I'm going to arm every section of this. And I'm going to do that because that's what Mike likes, just the mics, nothing extra. Boom. Right back at you. Satisfaction. We are here. We're feeling good. Got the wrong. All right, here it is. Are we ready?
You bet.
We're ready.
All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Top Chef Fantasy League, the podcast where Iffy's team is slowly dying before our very eyes. Yes, so that voice you hear first is not Mike, but it is Iffy Wadiway, and I am joined by Sierra K. Tao, and often mentioned, often referenced, Emily Louise. How are you doing?
Ooh. Hello, I'm excited to be here.
Yes.
So excited to have you.
Oh, yeah.
Now at least two of us like Top Chef.
Yeah. Yes. Well, you know, the smack talk is already starting for who knows, but you know, updates from the last week. Yeah, more chefs following us. Michelle, how's it going? How you doing, Michelle? I'm glad that everyone from the team, Michelle, still we'll get into it, but
A glimmer of hope.
A glimmer of hope.
Hell yeah.
I love her.
Yeah, I think Michelle is great. Yeah. Yeah, this was a very exciting episode. I think after the episode, Last Chance Kitchen was probably the star of the week.
2 parts,
Yes.
again, the mid-season finale. So it was like, oh, we're going to see actually who gets to
Yes.
go back into the competition. But yeah, I don't know. I think because maybe it was just a little bit more neck and neck and a little bit better overall performances.
Look, we all know how I feel about Suan from the jump. I think
Unfortunately, me too, because if he told everybody.
well, I just meant his skills.
I agreed.
Yeah.
No, I stand by that as well.
Yeah.
It's not a controversial opinion.
Yeah, exactly. But what I mean is, this man is a sniper, but truly surprising that sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. See what happens when Mike isn't here? I just get too excited and I jump onto it. So we're gonna jump right into the episode, get right into it. So yeah, we start the episode off. Everyone's kind of kicking it at the hotel, having a good time, and then they get a FaceTime call from Kristen Kish, who tells them that they have to shop for groceries at the Madison's Farmer Market before what the challenge is, and also made a point to say this is the largest producer. It was a specific language they used. I wrote it in my notes, and my notes are now in the couch. But it was like the
Largest producer owned.
Yeah, largest producer owned, which I was like, interesting caveat.
Producer-owned farmers market in America, I guess. Is that what?
Yeah.
what that
Yes,
was? Okay,
in America.
interesting. Yeah, I don't know what that means. To tell you the truth.
I do not either, but if I had to guess,
Yes.
I think it's people directly from farms. I don't think there's any middle I don't think there's any companies there.
Got it.
I think it is
So-
just people who are farmers.
Okay, I feel like that's good, and that feels like small business, little guy, coming in direct to consumer.
Yes, and another rep for Wisconsin letting us know we got to get out there.
Yeah, and if that's not right, I'm sure someone will let me know.
I mean, or we're wrong, and that's fine too.
That's totally okay. Also, if you notice these glasses next to us, the Brandy Alexander was a big point in this episode, which
Can't wait
I'm
to
sure
talk
we'll
about it.
all have lots of thoughts about.
About to taste.
Yeah, but here it is. Here's the taste.
Ooh,
Oh yeah,
It is
nice.
Christmassy.
yeah.
You know what? I feel like this would be really good with a scoop of vanilla ice cream in it.
oh my god, for sure. I mean, it's already got cream.
Yes.
I think you did a good coconut cream substitution. I think that was probably the right way to go.
Yeah, there was a lot of substitutions with this because before the episode, I told him, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just get it. I probably have all the stuff. I had cognac, which technically isn't brandy, but in the same department.
In the family.
Yeah, and then with that, I went with coconut cream because I didn't have the cream, and then I didn't have the cream to cacao, so I did a little bit of Disaronno and a little bit of Kahlua to kind of have that. Because the Disaronno, I think, alone would have been too sweet. So the Kahlua kind of cuts it with that little bit of coffee bitterness to kind of give you that chocolatey kind of the department of chocolate, which is sweet and bitter.
Yeah. Well,
That's
done.
your new nickname.
The department of chocolate. Yeah.
But also an Iffy Alexander.
Yeah, and Iffy
Oh,
Alexander. Yeah, there it
you
is.
go. I mean, yeah, it feels like I'm in a Wisconsin supper club right
Yeah.
there. Just
Especially with these glasses.
Yeah.
Oh,
very, very good.
So going into the farmer's market, you had a bunch of people running around the farmer's market. You had people who were like, no, they had 20 minutes to shop at this farmer's market to get food for the quickfire challenge that they don't know about. So Charlie's strategy was getting versatile ingredients, trying to mix it up. Savannah's boyfriend, Justin, was giving her quickfire practices before she left for Top Chef.
I think that's a great idea.
Cute. Yeah, I basically like was setting her up to like,
Yeah.
hey, babe,
Yeah.
you better bring home the bacon. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
set these like training exercises for you.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean,
And I'm
paid off.
sure they gave them weirder stuff, like stuff that was totally bizarre. So even this is like, yeah, this is way better. At least these are cohesive in my brain.
Yeah.
What an interesting relationship. We'll find out
Yes.
more hopefully.
Roscoe was worried that there might be a grocery swap between chefs, and M leaned over and was like, they do that.
Yeah,
They do
they've
that.
done that
Sure.
before where it's like, all right, you get someone else's basket. And usually it'll be like, oh, someone who did really well gets to trade. So I was like, I'll take this one or I'll give you that one. I'm like, oh man, it's always brutal.
Yes. But they don't have to do it, but we get to the quickfire challenge and they introduce the guests, quickfire judges, comedian, director, activist W. Kamau Bell, who's been watching Top Chef since the beginning. So that another moment of hope for us.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know, as comedians who are both equal levels of fans
Right,
of Top
right.
Chef.
Don't know
who-
much about
both.
chefdom, but
Yeah.
love Top Chef. I mean, me personally.
Yeah, when you were watching it, because you're stand up too, were you feeling like, okay, I feel like I can do this. I feel like
There's
this-
more precedent. Well, we had Charlie Behrens,
Charlie
the Miller High Life Champagne comic of Wisconsin or whatever, and then W. Kamau Bell. So yeah, quite a good representation of comedians.
I
Very
know.
excited. And I also felt like, the fact that he was a fan and they honored that. Well, they're not brushing their fans aside, so that's good.
Yeah, and then Madison's own James Beard Award winner, Tori Miller. Any shade Milwaukee? He came in, he gave a little shade to Milwaukee, which I love, like the hometown rivalry stuff.
It feels very much like doing stand up in a place, and then the local comedian goes and like, screw like Red Town or whatever, and you're like, and then the audience loves them, and you're like, I can't compete with this. But actually, some comedians have a good tactic of asking like the local comic, hey, what's a town that nobody likes here? And then they go out and open with that, and like it's pandery, but it's like
Doing
it's like a
market
wink
research.
to it. Yes, exactly. So I think that's what Tori was bringing to the table. Here.
It is pandery, but it really does knock it out the park every time when you're like, what is a thing that your town likes? Okay, I'm gonna mention it because look, we are kings and queens of sidebars here on the pod.
Sure.
But yeah, I feel like the main thing of stand-up comedy is that moment you feel everyone feels like they're in on the joke. So starting off with that kind of like eases them into the.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. It's like we're buddies here. We can shit on Milwaukee.
Yeah. All right. So the quickfire challenge was you take one of Chef Carson Gully's sauces from his cookbook. Gully and his wife were the first black couple to host their own cooking show in the 50s, which, W. Kamau Bell kind of leaned in to point that out, which I was like, I feel like no one, if you aren't familiar with his comedy and his track record, you're like, oh yeah, that's very him to be like, racism. But the chefs will take their sauce and pair it with an ingredient that they got from the market. The quickfire prize was $7,500 from Wells Fargo Active Cash Credit Card. Take your shot.
Take a shot. I don't want to drink this in the shot. Please don't make me.
Chug your dessert cocktail.
Yeah. And so they asked if anyone got a sauce that they haven't heard of before. Michelle got raisin
Raisin sauce.
I said that sounds hella British.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They got all those brown sauces.
Yeah, I feel like the Gullies were like, yeah, let's take the European thing and do our own thing.
pretty
Which
smart.
also one thing I was thinking of when they were describing the Gullies, I was like, oh, they were the first cooking with the Neelys, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Just a little factoid.
Ooh,
In the 50s.
in the 50s.
So yeah, Michelle decided to pair it with the frittata. Danny Garcia had the horseradish sauce. Charlie had Creole sauce. His mom passed away 15 years ago. Her Creole chicken is a dish he serves at his restaurant. Roscoe went with the Spanish sauce. She believes the judges are looking for risk takers, which
true.
kind of was what they got coached about.
Yeah, she added that little like popcorn or something on top
Yeah.
again, and everybody was like, "Oh, Rossica again."
Yeah, I know. They were like, if she wins again.
Versus.
Laura had a herb sauce, so she chose to make a fattoush salad.
Also, I think they really wanted a villain at it, and this is Laura's heel turn.
Oh,
This
look.
sauce draft.
Oh, baby, don't get me started. We're going to go. Yeah, says she fell in love with Middle Eastern food in Turkey with her mom. Her husband is Middle Eastern. Amanda had the egg sauce, Thai-inspired salad. Wishes that she had limes, but only has sweet pickles in lieu of citrus.
Got to do what you got to do. You didn't
Yeah.
have the challenge when you're shopping. So.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of gonna have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
Kevin DeAndre went with the mushroom sauce. And there was a pointed, pretty
Yes.
egregious close up on Morton Salt.
It was again like
Yeah.
Morton Salt paid for this, so
Yeah.
you guys better stare at this guy for a little bit. And I think it's also like Morton Salt, like everybody knows Morton Salt,
Yeah.
right?
So I was telling Iffy, there's a giant Morton Salt thing in Chicago. So I believe it is a Midwestern brand.
A local hire.
I would
Yeah.
argue that it is a national brand. I think.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
but you know,
yeah,
right.
because I think,
highlighting things that came from the Midwest
Oh,
in general.
yeah.
Right.
Morton. Yeah.
yeah. But then Manny Barrera had a Figaro sauce. And he was stressing about grilling and cooking fish. A foreshadow. Not for him though.
No.
So then the judges review the quickfire sauces. Dan knows Tory Mel.
Oh, yeah. Local guys.
Here's the Dan story this season is that he knows every damn person.
Sure. He knows them all. I think he's a very well connected, social guy, likable guy. So there's
yeah.
that. And then I was also saying, like, I mean, in the next challenge too, he kind of like goes into really being fond childhood memories in
Yes.
Wisconsin. And I was telling Dylan, I was like, oh, this guy really loves Wisconsin, right? You know, seems like a very Wisconsinite guy.
He's there for life.
He loves it, which fair enough. It's a great state. But then Dylan was kind of like, well, that's like also kind of the role that he's playing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he signed up
Yeah.
and they're like, hey, you're our Wisconsin
I am
guy.
the
so-
Wisconsin hype man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm
like,
here.
even if you're not feeling it today, Dan, like you better lean in because
Suck it
that's
up.
your role and you're the guy. For
Yeah, you are
this.
part of how we're making the money from Wisconsin. We need you to really lean into that. So then Rosca topped hers with the jalapeno popcorn, like you said. And Kevin was talking about, if Rosca wins this show, which I get, because Rosca is killing
She's
it.
been, really
But also-
winning.
The only person who can stop that, Kevin, is you. If you don't want her to win the challenge, you gotta step
Right.
it
You
up.
gotta be better than them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eyes on your own paper, as they say.
Yes. W. Kamal Bell says Manny would fight if he wasn't a chef, and Manny confirms that he used to do MMA.
Yeah.
Which, the MMA
As soon as he
vibes.
said that, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, pretty like it's interesting knowing like you could size somebody up, and I think part of me just feels like, oh, isn't it just something people do like more cosmetically, like you want to look a certain way, so maybe you work out or whatever. So it's funny hearing when like, oh, you functionally decide, or we're also competing in like a fighting way. That's pretty funny.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know anything else beyond that about fighting, but I'm like, hey,
Well, it
that's
seems
great.
like the same kind of aggressive in a weird way as working in a kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh gosh.
Where it's like, oh yeah, I have to be on my toes. I need to know what's going on at all times. Like it's fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it probably scratches the same part of his brain.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Well, at the bottom of the quickfire was Michelle with the raisin sauce. Kamal Bell said, it's like T Swift and Slipknot. I like them separately, but together, I don't know. Which I don't know. I feel like people are forgetting about the Linkin Park Jay-Z album
Right,
and
right.
the effect that it had. Also,
On Iffy YUA specifically.
On your life, yeah.
side note, another a stand-up question. Do you feel like W. Kamau Bell needed to be supported more by his peers? I feel like he was throwing out jokes and no one was laughing at them, which made it feel even.
Yeah, I think I probably missed some of. I probably took them as like just genuine critiques because I was just like I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that's just like the way he talks.
Yeah.
But then certainly it was probably supposed to be like a little bit more lighter laughter there.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
yeah, he would just deliver like a joke, a pretty like hard joke, and like everyone just like, like,
I
what?
think it's because his cadence doesn't really change.
Yeah.
And they're so used to people just like saying, like repeating the same thing over and over again for like reading it and like, oh yeah,
Sure.
you're
Yeah.
telling
Yep.
jokes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, not as much of the same chemistry with Tori Miller
Yes.
and W. Kamau Bell together. But that's okay.
Yeah, another T Swift and Slipknot situation.
Sure. Yeah.
right?
Look who's talking, right?
Yeah. Amanda, her dish was called gloppy and sloppy.
Which is just rough.
Yeah.
Both. Yeah. Gloppy's probably worse, but
Yeah.
sloppy following gloppy. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
can't come back from that.
Double whammy.
Yeah, the only time you want to hear that descriptor is in a slime ASMR video. Outside of that, not where you want to hear it.
Fair. Yeah, that seems like the right hashtags for those videos, I would assume.
And Kevin's was just missing texture, ate the same, which honestly, like compared to the other two, by the time they got to Kevin, I was like, yeah, I feel like you're good.
Right. At least
Yeah.
you're not gloppy and sloppy with the mushroom sauce.
Oh my goodness. But at the top of the quick fire was Charlie,
Finally.
Laura, and Manny. And what's wild is, no Rosca in the top, which I thought we might have gotten.
Oh,
but
for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Big surprise.
Yeah, no. And the winner was Charlie taking it in. Good stuff. And it seemed like Charlie proposed to his fiance, Christine, the day before he came to Top Chef. So he has to start paying for a wedding with his winnings. So congrats, Charlie.
Yeah. Wells Fargo Active Cash is going to be paying for their DJ, photographer, whoever, they need to book. That's
DJ
coming
slash
straight from the
photographer,
Active
one
Cash.
person.
Yeah. I mean, 7,500, it's not going to get you that many people.
Yeah, you're so right.
I told Iffy while we were watching this, like, I'm really excited for Charlie. He used to work at Journeyman in Boston, which was like my very first fine dining experience.
Oh,
Yeah.
no way.
So I was like, oh, I am like actively rooting for this man. And I was so excited to finally see him like cook something that he wanted to cook and be successful.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that's
visitor.
yeah. Charlie's gonna just jump up.
The podcast gremlin.
Charlie,
Yeah.
when Charlie is mentioned, Charlie the cat comes.
Yeah. It's like, did someone call me?
I heard you say
Biggest
my
fan.
name, which is
Yeah.
probably a thing.
Yeah, I know. We did do that.
It's like, Charlie winner? Me?
Yeah, well, we'll see. Next up is the Elimination Challenge, where they host a supper club, one of Wisconsin's prized tradition. So before this, have you, because you said you've been to Wisconsin
I
a few times,
have.
have you done a supper club?
You
like that?
bet. Oh my God. I'm so excited to talk about this. Yeah. When I saw Supper Club, I was like immediately like, wow. Okay. Cause I think I didn't clock, again, shout out to my friend and comedian Matt Torkelson of
Torkel.
Wisconsin. He took us to a supper club. And that's kind of like, I think the thing to do. It's sort of like, when friends visit you in LA, maybe you take them to the Hollywood sign. I've never done that, but
Yeah.
I've
No,
never
it's
been there.
awful.
But
I refuse to take anybody.
yeah, good. You're a good friend. But I think, maybe the sort of, full experience is the supper club in Wisconsin, which when I went, it was like just a really nice dinner. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It felt both cozy, but also fancy and great, cocktails. I think I didn't like clock that it was such a Wisconsin specific thing. And then B, also, I didn't clock like the courses being that rigid. Like I just
Yeah.
thought, this is a nice meal. You know what I mean? But so it was cool to learn more about it. But yeah, I am a supper club alum.
Oh, yeah. I know. Once I heard of it, I was like, we gotta go.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like that's like a very communal dining experience, which I'm like
Yeah.
really into.
Yeah. So, bravo. If you're digging what you're listening to, definitely send us the funds for the post-season pod where we go to a supper club.
We fly
to
into Wisconsin.
We fly
Yeah, I
to
know.
Wisconsin. There's a BMW X3 waiting for us.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and we
Can't wait
drive
for
down to
that.
the supper club. That sounds like a great plan. Y'all can put it on the Bravo site.
Yeah. Let us know where we can be picked up and
Yes.
some cheese waiting in the driver's dashboard.
Yeah.
I don't know. Where does cheese wait?
Yeah.
I do have a question about the supper club.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys heard of broasted chicken before?
No, that.
No, definitely
So
not.
I've had that in Chicago before, but I didn't realize it was like a Wisconsin specific thing.
Oh.
I was like, oh, that's like it's like when you pressure cook it first in oil. So basically you put the chicken in hot oil in a pressure cooker.
Whoa, that seems
and
dangerous.
cook it and and then and then you low fry it in a pan afterwards.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like what the, oh man, I don't know if I can make this joke, but
Go for it.
like the Boston Marathon, what they're doing over there at the finish line.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. You get
They're just
roasted.
Roasting a chicken.
You roasted
As
chicken.
someone from Massachusetts, I support that.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. So, the Supper Club was started in the 1920s by Wisconsinite Lawrence Frank. Joe Papach turned normal dining into a social occasion. And then they had to draw knives because it's a group challenge. And the green team was Manny, Laura, Danny, Charlie, and Amanda. And the purple team was Rossica, Dan, Savannah, Michelle, and Kevin. Which, you splitting up, Danny and Rossica, that meant it was a big change because these are some they are a power
Right.
team.
They won last time. They're both on my team. So, yeah, I was a little bummed to see them split up, but, can't have it all.
Yeah, especially with what happens to Danny. But first, we'll break it down. The relish tray was Danny Garcia versus Dan Jacobs. Fish dish was Rossica versus Charlie. Chicken dish was Amanda versus Savannah. The beef dish was Manny versus Kevin. And the dessert was Michelle versus Laura. They went to Harvey House for a supper club experience, and they changed this old train station into a restaurant, which every time they showed it, have you seen in North Hollywood that one like train station groundwork coffee that's right there by the
no.
Orange Line? That's what it kept reminding
similar?
me of. Yeah.
I
Wait, sorry,
agree.
pausing. Is that okay that turned off? I don't know
Oh
if
yeah,
that's the same.
good catch. Good catch. Let's
find out
check.
together.
Oh yeah, it looks like something happened. All right. Yeah.
I think it was recent. Yeah.
Yeah. Edit.
Okay, cool. We'll figure it out. I feel like it was recent.
Good.
Oh, here, it's back here now.
It's back there. Let me see if it's charging my card. That's fine. All right. Yeah, it should be fine. Let's see. All right. Good catch. Thank you. I'm going to do a quick search on the Sony thing to see.
These taste like a drink a 19-year-old would order. Like this is like a, hey, I'm
It
at
is
the
true.
restaurant and it's like this sounds good. I think I could get away with ordering.
I mean, it is tasty, easy to drink. I remember as probably a 19-year-old, like, I tried an amaretto sour, and that to me was like, oh, great, this is perfect.
Yeah, which
And it's the
actually this
sweetest
kind
thing
of
ever.
reminds me of that.
Well, yeah, a lot of the Disaronno, I feel like that was the like, oh, this is like both nice and sweet as hell. So
Yeah,
you
and
don't
it
have to
does- it
taste the
doesn't
alcohol.
taste like
yeah,
alcohol.
yeah, beautiful.
Charlie's ready for a close-up.
Oh my god, yeah, so sweet, so friendly.
I know, it's so funny because she looks like she's going to be so mean. With that resting bitch face.
I feel like the sort of elegant longer haircuts are always very like intimidating because they're like more,
I mean,
gorgeous.
I feel like she looks like Totoro.
Oh yeah, the tufts for sure. Yeah, I was admiring the Totoro guys by the door.
Oh yeah, we got a big one too, but I had to put it in Naomi's room because I was like, I can't keep this on the couch. It's taking up like a whole seat.
A human size seat.
Oh, there's 4.
Ooh, you're stunning too. Oh.
Oh, so this is the one I might have.
might not see and now I get to see.
Yeah, she's. Once we got Tuna, because Tuna's only 11 months old, that enormous beast over there.
Yeah.
But when we got him, she like really started to be like, okay, like maybe I'll come out.
Oh, interesting. Oh, sweet. She's gorgeous. Stunning. Or are you jealous? It's so sweet.
Rub my face.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I adopted her from a rescue.
Oh, wow.
She was like from a breeding mill, and they were like, we don't know if we're be friendly or not. And now she's like so into people.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So, yeah,
Started from the bottom. Now we're here, huh, Charlie?
Yes. Hello. Oh, hi, sweetie. You're so pretty. Oh,
Gucci.
hello.
We're Gucci there. Okay. Yeah. Charlie loves
Hi, yeah.
the pets.
Love the pets.
All right. Are we ready?
We ready?
Where was I when I got
Oh, yeah, we were talking
about the
Harvey House,
Yeah.
North Hollywood thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So it's it's the Groundworks in it's called Groundwork Coffee, and it's in North Hollywood. If you've ever know where that red line station gets out in North Hollywood, right by where the
The Federal Bar.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes, you-
Yeah, I kind of know the area. Yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of what it looked
That's
like.
got a Harvey House vibe to it.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah, it's like
definitely.
a rail car, right? Like a railroad car.
Yeah. But yeah, no, they had a fish fry, chicken schnitzel, and hazelnut liqueur. Yeah. And it was 2 hours to prep and cook. That's what they had. Dan had childhood memories of chicken livers. Wants to do a relish tray. Let's
Yeah, he was so cute. I mean, it was really funny too because he was like, and then my dad would just eat the liver or something.
Yeah.
Something he was like, my dad would eat something, and I just thought he was the coolest guy ever. I was like, oh, that's very
Yeah. Oh,
adorable.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the thing as a kid.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of things where I was
Yeah.
like, okay, all right.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, I'm very for a relish tray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, I would have that at the beginning of every meal, like crudité and like deviled eggs and stuff. Sign me up.
That's true. Yeah, that was like a really cool surprise that's included just by default in these supper clubs.
Oh, yes. And then the purple team did a fish dish face off between Rasica and Michelle. No one wanted to do dessert. Rasica kind of
Right.
said that, she's been doing desserts and she kind of wants to do something to switch it up. Same goes for Michelle. And they decided that Michelle does dessert because she hasn't done dessert before, and she's a team player, and she's a twin.
Yeah,
She's a
she
twin.
was very like, hey, I'm a twin player, and showed that she was a twin, which means I guess I didn't realize that was a part of being a twin, but it makes sense. I mean, you know, yeah, I guess you're like, oh yeah, well if
You're
I had
always
another one
thinking
of
about
me,
two people.
yeah, that makes okay. There we go.
Yeah.
I do like that she says she's a team player, but I was like, oh, after she said it a couple times, I was like, no, girl, you're in danger. Like, do not let these people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Take this from
because
you.
there's another moment we'll talk about when she's a team player again, and it's like, yeah, don't let it,
Yeah.
don't everybody. It's a competition, right? And then these chefs are pretty competitive, so you got to make sure no one's
if they're
stepping
not
on
being
you.
team players, you shouldn't be.
Yes, truly. And Rosca does her fish, even though that she has immunity. Which, what was your kind of take on this as far as like what Rosca gets to do, considering that she has immunity?
Right. I mean, she's on my team. So in that from the team captain version of it, I'm like, yeah, go for it. Do what you want to do. But then, I think if I were just objective, I'd be like, listen, you have immunity. I'm sorry you did your dessert things many times, but I'm not really counting. And I feel like some of the dessert, is she counting like, I don't even know. I mean,
You're like quick
I
fire.
totally
like,
agree.
yeah, like that's not something I noticed where it's like not, the judges haven't criticized her for like, hey, how come you're doing a dessert again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree
yeah.
that if you have immunity, you should do what everybody else doesn't want to do.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you have immunity, and then if you crush it, you prove that you're even better.
Right,
Yeah.
right. The stakes are like, not high at all kind of thing.
Yeah, because even, and I think you're right. Even if they were like, "Man, you're doing another dessert," guess what? You have
Yeah, I was
immunity,
working with my
so it's not
team.
going to work against you. Yeah. So they go grocery shopping, and they have $1,000 for each team of 5.
Rough.
Laura is making 4 leches, which like it's technically tres leches, so it should be cuatro leches.
Sure.
Not to
yeah.
get my Duolingo.
I mean,
but you know,
somebody speaks Spanish.
yeah, you know, I'm trying. But yeah, and they have a hard budget. Manny mentions that Monterey is known for skirt steak. Skirt steak in Monterey is like lobster in Maine.
Who
which I was
knew?
like,
Very
okay.
exciting.
Yeah, I did not know. I was like, okay, cool. Danny has the relish tray and spent time in Tunisia. Danny gets rightfully, I'll say, pissed off.
Oh yeah, it
yeah,
was
it's
it
time
was
to jump
truly
into it.
juicy.
It was, yeah, it was dramatic.
Yeah.
I mean, so I kind of saw, and it was funny because like they were all like, "Sorry, Danny, sorry, Dan, sorry, Danny." Like everybody was saying sorry, so I was like, I guess he's in the right. But I was like surprised that he was so like mad about it because I didn't really see the whole thing play out.
Ooh, I feel like it feels like he probably feels like he's being sabotaged because they're doing so well.
Yeah.
Oh, he himself,
yeah.
right? That's probably what
But
happened.
also,
so.
it is crazy to buy a like probably $60 bottle of liquor when you're on a team.
Yeah, I do think that that's what, like, especially when you're cooking with the alcohol and it's gonna like be blending with the flavors. And I say this as the guy who like, you know, did the fancy drinks, but I typically don't think personally. And if you think differently, chefs who watch us, let us know that the quality of brandy would have mattered. So I think it would have been best to go with the cheapest one, so you're not putting such a huge dent in your team's budget. Because looking at the way it counted up, Laura used like, you know, at the end when she's like, "Oh, I didn't even use that one," was like, "No, you did use like 200 and something."
I think it's like $230 because it does tell you at the
shoot.
beginning and the end
Yeah.
about. But I also think that like I don't think it has to be the cheapest brandy or even like wine and stuff like that. I think it's more important about what the notes are in the wine and what you're cooking.
Yeah.
But I was like, I would tell her you need to put that back right now.
Sure, yeah, and then you know they make
At
the
least
point.
buy a smaller one. What is your problem?
Right, yeah. That's what I was thinking. It's like, is there like a smaller thing, like
Yeah.
a little flask?
We've been
Yes.
to Whole Foods. We know they sell cans of wine and stuff. Like
Yes.
there's got to
Oh,
be some kind
yeah.
of that.
And like the fact that, you know, and then, you know, we'll get into this, I'm sure, but yeah, there was sort of like she's doing 2 things, and it's like, can we
Yes.
dial that back a little bit? You know?
Also, I did put this in quotes. She is the last person to say something, and it says, "Danny, don't worry, we'll work together." And I was like, "Oh,
Wow, that's so fun you caught that. Yeah.
Yeah.
juicy."
Juicy. So yeah, the next day they have 2 hours cook time. Manny sacrifices his potatoes to Danny. If someone goes down, we all go down. Then it was Katsu Fest, Amanda versus Savannah. They both have Japanese cuisine backgrounds, but are confident in their respective katsus, flagging that they call Savannah's dish chicken tonkotsu, but ton means pork, so it'd just be chicken katsu.
Yeah, that's
Let's
because
go. Let's go.
they called Amanda's dish chicken katsu, and then they're like, and then Savannah's doing a chicken tonkatsu, and it's like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
because ton is meaning pork, you know, katsu. So,
Yeah.
So anyway, just a weird, I guess, language thing, but it was just funny because it was like, well, you did it right one time. Can you do it right another time? Like, why?
Well, they probably write their own descriptions, right?
Right.
And then they're like, well, we're just reading
yeah,
it.
this is
I don't know, man."
tonkatsu. And look, I've done that too. I call everything tonkatsu sometimes. You know, why not? It's a better word, but I think either that or maybe they were trying to like do some pork thing in
Yeah.
there. I don't know.
Either way, I knew that Amanda wouldn't make that mistake. She is definitely a weeb who watches too much anime.
Self-described nerd.
Yeah, there's no way she was gonna mess that up. Not on her watch. She was about to do it in a Hidden Leaf Village bandana if she could. So The judges arrive at the Harvey house to enjoy their supper club experience to snazzy jazz music.
Yeah.
Now,
Every
we've-
time they cut to the judges, it was that jazzy kind of like, ooh, we're at a supper club.
Yeah, they were really selling the supper club. I think this was like, we talk about the Wisconsin ads. This was definitely an ad for supper club.
Oh, this one worked though. I was like, yeah,
yeah.
I am
Oh, yeah.
in. Like, I'm into a supper
Get me
club.
on the next plane.
Yeah. The judges are joined by Christine Miller, Tori's wife, and she's the pastry chef for Les Trois. Les Trois. And Tori Miller with Tori Miller and W. Kamal Bell are also there again. And Joe and Shannon of Harvey House also sit in. This is they're ready for action too. They got thoughts. Danny's tahini is more seasoned than he'd like it to be. Is this going to be a problem?
Uh-oh.
Michelle gives Savannah her pineapple.
Team player again.
Being a team player again, which I feel like comes back. So Danny does a North African black tahini, oversalted. Oversalted. It has pickles, dips, and bread. Christine liked a rando liked it.
Sorry, I read it. So, like, when they cut to the
No, I love it.
some rando liked it,
yeah.
but hey, pretty good.
Yeah.
Careful, I'm trying to be that random.
Yeah. I mean, I am a self-proclaimed rando.
Yeah, we all want to be a rando. So with it, we mean rando.
No, you'll be the
complimentary.
comedians. I'll
Yeah,
be the rando.
Rando. Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
But Em said something before we recorded that I think was a great point to make, that it was cool to cut to the rando and was like, oh, that's good, because it kind of shows that even though the judges can be like, I don't think
They
this is
have to
good.
be hyper nitpicky.
Yeah, exactly. But the food is just good.
Yeah, because
right.
I'm sure that probably was salty, but if you eat it with other stuff, like I'm sure the judges are tasting one thing at a time and then tasting everything together.
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure everything's seasoned and stuff.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, and they're like, they know what the best tahini ever tastes like, so
Yeah.
they're like
Yes.
comparing it to that versus sometimes you're coming in fresh, you haven't had
They're like,
tahini.
this is great.
Yeah.
And then Charlie did the ippies, rubbed fried trout, coconut ippy sauce, preserved lemon pickles, which they like Charlie's whitefish, pickled lemon juice. But Tom breaks the news to everyone: the fish is overcooked. Now this is another thing where now it wasn't a rando. These were like, everyone was like, this is pretty good, and Tom's like, nah.
Well, Andy says the pickles weren't spicy,
Yeah.
but then multiple of them say that.
Yeah.
And I was telling Iffy that I was like, he was explaining what pickles were, and I was like, oh yeah, but Gregory Gardel also makes like really nice like Haitian food and is on a season of this, and like I was like, oh yeah, so he was making them for them constantly.
Yeah.
So they
shoot.
all have
blew
background
that.
knowledge of what it's
Yes.
supposed to taste like.
Yeah. Wait. Oh, I will say. So I started watching Dish with Kish,
Ooh.
which is like another,
Which
Yeah.
is probably what she was filming when they
addendum
did
thing.
that cell phone thing.
Yeah.
yeah. She's like, I can't be there in Wisconsin. I got to film the Dish with Kish.
Kish.
But it's great. I think they shoot out here or something. But because they kind of pair it with each episode, Gregory was on the one that got paired with this episode.
Oh, nice.
And and they were like, oh, and Charlie made this, so like kind of relating that in. So I feel like he didn't, he hadn't. It's like filmed after the fact, so there's not really like much.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just saying
Understanding.
his downfall was that they all knew what they tasted
Right,
like. 'Cause
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh yeah,
exactly.
Gail, Tom, everyone, they've like had them already.
Right.
But we're going to Portland in May, and I'm trying to go to Gregory
Oh my
Gordo's
God, you
restaurant.
have to. Okay, so I haven't been. But
looks so
I went
good.
to the the bar part, so I didn't get. We weren't able to reserve for the actual I can't remember what the name of the restaurant is. Oh yeah, Con. But then it was like Sob or something.
I don't know what the
Yeah.
talking
There's
about.
there's like the bar, and honestly, that was great because we were able to get in right away. I mean, make reservations closer to the date, and they had great cocktails and a bunch of food. So it was basically dinner,
Yeah,
just in a bar.
It looks awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I peered through the window and I saw Gregory.
Yo. Like, hello there.
Been on
It is
Greg.
I.
Yeah, that was a
Who
celeb
knows?
sighting.
Maybe we get enough burn that when we're out there, Gregory's like, hey, you're from the Top
Wait a
Chef
second.
Fantasy
League.
League.
Come on in. Yeah, he
Come
clears
on
the
in.
table. He pulls the new table.
We've
in.
been waiting for you.
Yeah. Look, I'll come back hyped. So yeah. Also, I need to point out that we watched it twice because we watched it last night after game night. I was a little sleepy. and I kind of fell asleep. And then we watched it again, and when we watched it again, when he was like ippy, I was like, oh, iffy rub, and it was like, do you remember making that joke last night? I was like, no. I was like, you made that joke twice. I was like,
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's just in your brain.
yeah,
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if I sound something-
if it ain't
sounds-
broke, you know, keep saying it.
Amanda does the hot chicken katsu with mala spice, apple miso mustard sauce, cabbage relish. The judges, Tori crushed the sauce. There's good balance, but Tom, chicken is juice, nicely seasoned cabbage. Manny did the anko crusted New York strip loin, palms puree, salsa verde. Judges love the salsa verde. Christian silky palm puree, and meat didn't match up.
I feel like you just started saying that Sanrio character.
That's where that comes from.
Yeah, that's what
Puree.
they do. Yeah,
It's
there it
actually
is.
made out of mashed potatoes.
Yeah. And Gail says it's not easy to chew, which is like, we were talking about it. It is wild to like have a kind of swing and a miss with like medium rare steak.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty straightforward thing. I don't
Well,
know.
I told Iffy because he cooked it medium rare, but it should have been medium because the fat needs to break down in that steak, and because it's not cooked enough, the fat hasn't broke down, and so that's why it makes it chewy.
Oh dang, yeah, that's rough. I feel like you want to definitely not be chewing
Because
on
it really just one of them says like, oh, it just needed to rest for longer, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's probably just a time thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then we, got to the dessert that Laura, took most of the budget for. So it was worth it, right?
At this point, I am actively rooting for her downfall in this challenge. I was like, they really gave her the villain edit.
Yeah. Well, I think it's that thing, right, where we talk about it a lot, like working together and coming together for the thing. And it is interesting because I think there's a different version of this where this crushes and then you don't care because the team isn't on the chopping block because it was so good that it won you the challenge. It was kind of like when Rasica really was begging to do that dish, but then it was the standout dish.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I can't fully fault Laura, because I'm like, those are the swings you take in Top Chef, where you're like, I'm going to take this risk. I know it's going to make some people angry. I know it's going to, fuck some people's stuff up, but if I crush it, we win. And it doesn't matter.
And no one's mad. And that is, and maybe, so some credit to Michelle for being like, I am a team player, because hey, that could pay off, right?
Yeah.
Like if you do give something to somebody and then it makes them that much better, then you don't even have to think about your dish really. If you guys
100%.
win as a
Yeah,
whole.
because and then that stuff always does well if they need to pick you for something and you get to pick your ingredient or whatever. You're like, oh yeah, that person supported me when I needed them.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a thrust luscious cake with brandy cherries and chocolate brandy cocktail. Christine Miller says it's too soggy. There's too much of the milk mixture. Very sweet. Tom liked the idea, but two things that are okay, but don't complement each other. And he says the line that we always talk about.
I mean, you gotta,
do two things.
Don't do-
Don't half-ass
Clearly, we
two
always
things.
talk about it. Yeah. But yeah, something. Yeah. It's,
I'm gonna say don't half-ass two things,
things.
whole-ass one thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank
That's
you, Ab.
yeah, that's
It's not that,
exactly.
but
why
it's
you're
that
here.
now.
Yeah.
He does the thing that we always say.
Yes. Okay. So then that is the green team. The purple team, Dan does the chicken liver mousse crudité in a soil steak tartare. Tom says it's lively. It hit the nail on the head. Tori says the acidity to pickle. Gail frustrated there aren't more veggies for the yummy dips. Suffering from success, like DJ Khaled said.
As we always say.
That man says lots of stuff.
Rasica does semolina, fried snapper, peanut and jaggery dip, and smoked sturgeon, herb sauce, severely salty from Christian Kish. Tom says the peanut jaggery is interesting. The green sauce is saltier, this was kind of a shocker. First, bad dish, really. Not bad. Like we said, it's relative. This is probably the rando's like, this is the best fish I ever had. But, Tom's over there like, no.
Your vote doesn't count.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that zoom on the Morton salt was more of a like foreshadowing that everybody was going to over salt, over season.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, also the thing of like, she wanted to make this dish so much. So we were expecting her to really just knock it out of the park. And then it wasn't as good as usual.
But honestly, what a way to kind of take a swing and a miss when you have immunity. That's the beauty of it.
Also, I will say that Raska and Danny both struggled with not having enough ingredients, but their main problem was both that they oversalted it. It had nothing to do with their ingredients,
Yeah.
which is like interesting.
Yeah. In the end, it was their own folly that got in
I
the
feel like it's
way.
like overthinking because
Yeah.
you're like stressed.
Right. You're like,
yeah.
maybe I got to make up for this by dumping all this salt in here.
Definitely. Savannah does the chicken tonkatsu
Yeah, what?
with the caviar butter. And the judges, Tom says it doesn't need the caviar. Kristen says it's balanced and full. It's a crowd favorite. And, that was one of the things where I looked to him and I was like, oh, this feels like, Savannah took the advice too hard and was like, okay, I got to do something bigger than chicken tonkatsu.
It's got to have caviar.
Yeah.
Right.
And when in actuality, it could have just been the chicken katsu and they would have loved it.
Yeah. And did she say something earlier about like, oh, in my restaurant, like we do this thing where we put the caviar on there or something?
I think
was that her?
so. I
Because
think
caviar and fried chicken is a thing.
Okay.
I think in Korea too they like it.
I mean, it does sound pretty good, but
Yeah.
I could see how it could be like two things that are like stars, and you want to just pay attention to one. Tom, hit it, Tom. Clocchio.
yes. Yeah, he wants it.
Whatever he says, two
Yeah.
things. Don't half-ass.
Yeah, don't half-ass
There we
it. Full ass one. So then Kevin
We're
has a
making
beef tenderloin with au jus. Kevin's beef.
It
is
looked
too undercooked.
beautiful.
Too undercooked. Tori would have rested it longer, which. Yeah, that seems like what it was it just needed to rest longer, which is, unfortunate, but at least, it's like, oh, you just didn't, because
Time constraints.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
like a very competition like only thing. So hopefully in the real world, it's like
Yes.
they would do it differently, kind of thing.
Michelle brings out the most, and I've seen a lot of bread pudding in my life.
It's our favorite dessert.
New Orleans
wow.
background, I've grown up on bread pudding. It is our favorite dish. If we go to a restaurant and they have a bread pudding dessert, we order
get
it.
it every time.
Every time we order it, like no matter what, no questions asked. That being said, probably the most beautiful bread pudding I've ever seen.
It looks so good.
It looked so good, and it had the roasted pineapple. Everyone, and they were like, it's the supper club. This is what it's all about. Truly, potentially the star dish, but later we find out Tom was like, it needed more pineapple, which.
Wait, okay, did he say it needed more pineapple? Because I thought he said it needed more cake.
No, he said he was like, it's all that cake and little pineapple.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He specifically didn't get pineapple, and of course it's Tom, so he's gonna make sure.
Yeah.
That's a big problem. So
Yeah, he's
yeah,
like,
he
"I didn't
kind
get
of was
any
like, I didn't,
pineapple."
and then like one of the other.
looks so good. I
Judges
want
was
that.
like, yeah, I have some. You
I
can
know.
have some mine.
He's like, nah, it wasn't on mine.
I wanted it. Yeah.
Man,
but
it
yeah.
did look so freaking
And
good.
it was simply because that, and well, let's go to the judges table and we'll talk about all that stuff. Amanda's sicking out.
Yeah, what happened? Crazy.
Said that she was feeling kind of sick and just disappeared. But actually, before I was like, it's weird they didn't say her dish. Current tinfoil hat theory, I think that she's going to be too sick to continue and we might not see her next week.
I mean, that would be
I agree.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
honestly,
definitely for me. I need the bodies at this
yes,
point.
Yes. The numbers are dwindling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at first I was like, oh man, yeah, they didn't mention her dish and she did well, but actually she did really well. So that also could be a reason they didn't feel the need to mention
Yeah.
her dish.
Yeah,
because it was like, oh,
Yeah,
we don't
you're
have
safe.
we don't have to think of something bad to say about this dish we all loved because she's not here. So we'll see. I am hoping she is still in this game. The purple team wins. Gail loved every component. Tom says they executed from start to finish flawlessly. Savannah has a crunchy, tasty, beautifully balanced, acidic notes, delicious. And Michelle, the pineapple upside down classic, really nice. That's where Tom complained of not enough pineapples, and Michelle states that it was a budget issue.
Yeah, she was a team player.
Yeah, and she was
gave
ready.
some pineapple away.
She was ready to go to war, and Tom's like, no, yeah, I get it. It's cool. It's cool. It's
Right.
cool.
Oh,
Well,
that's
and I
fine.
do like that because he's like, oh, I understand that I'm about to tear somebody else apart now.
Yeah.
Right.
Laser beam somewhere else.
Yeah. He's like, all right, you passed the test. Yeah. And then, they talk about Dan's dish, and Dan wins. Dan Jacob wins
Wow.
gets immunity. He's around. I feel like, we're in the top 10. Dan has immunity. I think Dan's getting a lot further than we thought he would.
I mean, I gotta say,
I-
I'm very happy, very proud of my pick there.
Yeah.
I mean, his supper club roots, it really does boil down to kind of like that hometown advantage a little
Yeah.
bit. So,
Oh yeah, I
really
think he's
works.
very passionate about where he is from, and you
Yeah.
can tell by how he cooks.
Yeah. Well done.
Oh yeah. So after that, we go to the green team, and Gail talks about the relish tray, saying it was a good start, but what was happening there. And Danny says he struggles with a tight budget, and I see the effort that Danny goes through to not just throw Laura under the bus.
I think
You
he
can
should have.
see in his face. He does not, which is I was like, oh, this is why, because we talked about how there's not that much drama on the show and the chefs have respect for
Yeah,
each other.
right.
This was the clear-cut proof because there is a answer. There is a singular
Deliberate.
answer, and no one wanted to throw Laura under the bus. But Tom is Tom. And eventually, through process of elimination,
Yeah.
Well,
so
it's
funny.
like it's right. Like, okay, you gave me a cocktail and something with brandy in it, so I know you bought alcohol. So no matter what, I sort of know how much that costs.
yeah,
Right. I mean, also that and the fact that I think it's also with the Top Chef thing. It's like I've seen people throw people under the bus
Yeah.
in other seasons, and it just
Yeah.
that doesn't look good. It just
Yeah,
always
you-
Yeah,
stands
you're like,
out.
it's like we're all adults. You can't just be
Yeah.
telling.
I
because it's
know.
almost like they always get to it anyway. So it's almost like unnecessary.
Yeah.
I
that
feel like I
somebody
would be
has
so heated that I would have to say
I know.
something.
I mean, sure, I'm not above it myself. That's fair.
And that's why I think I thought Danny would have said something because he was mad. He stormed off.
Yeah,
he was
sure.
like,
Which we
so-
haven't seen on Top Chef in a hot minute, if
Yeah, I
ever.
was
Yeah.
surprised. For
Yeah,
sure.
but I get it because to me it felt like one of those things where it was a much longer conversation that was cut down for time.
100%.
And because he really was activated and it like cut together well, but it definitely was incrementally like more angry every
Yes,
time.
that's
it cut
why I
back
was
to-
like a little confused. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
how did like it,
Yeah.
did I miss something? It just felt like it got to 10 like way
Yeah,
faster.
and I think that they cut through, so like we got into like 30 minutes into this conversation because there's no
When this
way.
man is like, I'm leaving or I'm going to yell at you.
There's no because there's no way that you were just gonna let that slide. You were gonna be like, hey, do you want to consider this? Especially
Well, I did write down because they were looking at all those onions and they're like, well, we could put 2 away. And someone was like, the onions are not the problem.
I know. It's so,
I'm like,
that's
yeah,
so
$2
funny.
a pound. Like, they weigh the most. They're not the problem. You're right.
yeah. So then Tom asked Laura, why did she do 2 things, a dessert and cocktail, if the budget was tight? He says the thing, and this is where you wrote it down here, so we got it. Do 1 thing right rather than 2 things wrong.
I like mine better.
I feel like
Yeah.
this was like a paraphrasing.
Yeah.
I'm sure he says
Because
it.
I think he says, don't do 2 things okay instead of doing 1 thing great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, Kristen is shocked at how long Charlie's cooked the fish. Blame Joe Flam for coughing.
Of course.
Too smart. He's like, that white man led me astray.
It is funny thinking like, okay, so but yeah, they asked him like how long between when you cooked the fish or whatever till you plated it, and then he said like 35 minutes or something.
Yeah, that's
kind
crazy.
of a lot. And then Kristen's face was just like, it was like, oh, this is not good. Like
Yeah, it should
be
like
that's
5
the wrong
minutes.
Yeah.
answer. Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and I say this with love, Charlie, because I love you, but like even
too.
like your average meathead is like, I know how long to cook a fish.
Oh, you know how much salmon I
Yeah,
cook?
they put how much salmon. Now, granted, you're
Sure.
cooking much more difficult fish, and I think that's what it was because they mentioned like the type of fish
Yeah.
too. So
Trout, I believe.
yeah, and fish is genuinely tricky as someone who does cook multiple
Well,
fish.
and like I think thinking about the risk of, is this going to be overcooked, or what if I don't get everything on the plate?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was worried about that, and but yeah, and then the Joe Flam stuff is so funny because they cut to the previous episode where he's choking on his spicy food. And it's like this Joe, the Joe Flam, the whitest man in America.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's so funny, because it was like, it was like even the editor's like, let's show it just so you
let's
know.
just clear
I
this
said
up.
to Iffy, I was like, just because he coughed doesn't mean he didn't like it.
No, he didn't say. Yeah, I don't think he was like. Well, again, we don't see the full edit, but it's like he was like, oh yeah, definitely a little heat, but he didn't say like too much. He was
No.
just
Yeah.
like,
I was
oh,
like,
I choked on it.
We cough eating spicy stuff all the time that we are into.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I'll like accidentally, go down the wrong way, but it has nothing to do with the fact, just the way you're eating,
Yeah. So Manny's steak was undercooked. Amanda's was the best, but she wasn't there to hear it, unfortunately.
Which is unfortunate because I feel like she needs that.
Yeah, that
really
would have
relay it to
would have healed her. Shannon says that she found Charlie's fish inedible.
Oh yeah.
Which look, relax, Shannon. I know I'm trying to get on Bravo, but relax. Everyone was like, it's cool, and she's like, I think it was inedible. No, why'd you have to add that? Why you have to do my boy like that, huh?
They always say inedible. It's so dramatic.
Yeah,
But it's
so
like,
dramatic.
Well, I think it's probably
Yeah.
fine.
So it's Charlie's overcooked fish to Manny's undercooked steak, which was worse, and Charlie goes home despite winning the
What a
quickfire.
roller coaster for him. Because
Yeah.
I thought, didn't they say this season we're going to factor in the quickfire wins
Yeah.
and stuff? So it's like, oh, I guess it was really that bad, or just like I don't know.
Truly, because you're right. I feel like overcooked is less egregious than undercooked, but I think with steak you get a little leeway.
I see.
That's my guess.
I think Laura should have gone home.
Oh well, yeah, I guess
I really think that like a huge part of this challenge is teamwork
Yeah.
and being able to make a cohesive menu with people, and you actively had a huge part in your team losing.
Yeah, but I feel like they saved that specifically for Restaurant Wars.
Oh sure.
Restaurant
sure.
Wars gives me anxiety.
It's coming.
Sometimes I
yeah.
can't watch it.
It's
It
coming.
is so stressful. Yeah, I don't know.
Two more. There's usually 8 contestants.
Yeah.
So.
And we just added 2 more.
Oh,
so
right.
let's
It'll be
go
a minute.
ahead
It'll be a
and
minute.
talk about Last Chance Kitchen.
Truly
We're at
so
the
excited.
mid-season finale already.
Oh, and it is so juicy.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Charlie comes in. I see somebody new. What is he doing with the red pants? And then that's
Listen,
where
leave that beautiful man alone.
Sue explains those are his good luck pants. He wears it to the golf course.
Yeah,
I
apparently
love
he's a big golfer.
everything, every tidbit of information they give you about Sue, they make you love him. It's like and I think it's going to be a shakeup because I think Rosica has been feeling quite comfortable, and seeing like a sniper like Sue come in, I think it's gonna shake the table
You're
a little
so
bit.
right. Yeah, I didn't even because I think maybe when we were first introduced to Sue, we didn't really know what was going on
Yeah.
with him. But at the time too, it was kind of like who knows who's the best. Like there are some front runners, but it was too early. But yeah, right now I feel like it's kind of in need of another person who's really strong and he's
yeah.
clearly good in competition, as we'll see, and exciting and taking risks.
I am
so.
so excited to see him in the main. I'm getting ahead of myself. So we have 2 episodes. The part 1 challenge is a breakfast dish inspired by a club sandwich that needs at least 5 layers. Charlie does fried bananas as bread with skirt steak, fried egg, a pickles. He wanted redemption, wanted to bring the heat this time. Tom tasted his onions to check the heat and goes, are these habaneros or habanadas?
Yeah.
I laugh so hard because he says that and then immediately sticks a piece of cheese in his mouth. And I love that they're kind of messing with each other because he's like, I'm going to say this, but I am going to have to put this dairy in my mouth.
Because it's
Right
on
now.
fire.
Oh my God, what a jokester.
Oh yeah, and then it has avocado and a harissa cream sauce. Kalina Bliss does an open-faced Benedict-style sandwich. Breakfast is her jam, toasted croissant, bacon,
Croissant?
tomato, chutney, relish with poached egg and chipotle hollandaise sauce. And Sue with his crazy looking.
His upscale stoner fucking breakfast.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I was like Dr. Seuss
Oh,
architecture.
yeah.
That is Hangover City. Give me that immediately.
Bread, fried pork cutlet, cheese, an egg, a play on the egg souffle inspired by Korean steamed egg dish in the microwave, orange marmalade, Mornay sauce, a roux-based cheese sauce, and an additional layer, fried raisin bread. Tom's verdict, Kalina has great flavors. Charlie's, the pickles got his attention. Smooth avocado, really crispy steak, a little bland, but not too much of a problem, it seems like. Sue, lots of cheese on cheese, bread on bread, ton of flavor, cutlets, beautifully fried. Marmalade is his favorite part, would have gotten rid of the bread. The winner is Kalina, who gets 5 extra minutes in the next round as an advantage because Tom likes the other dishes and both will continue to compete. So we have a all across the board win, which I know probably feels great for Charlie. Everyone's
Right.
good. We're all moving forward, but it makes it even more scary because that's 3 people competing in the next episode.
Yeah, and I felt like when he said that too, Kalina like was immediately kind of like, "What the fuck?" Like
Yeah.
she was kind of pissed
Yeah.
because I understand it's like if you win, you want to also like win something.
Yeah.
Which you got the 5 extra minutes, but sometimes those extra time like wins are actually kind of not that helpful in Top Chef
Yeah.
because the judges kind of like take that into account, and then you kind of almost it gets
Yeah.
absorbed into your dish. I don't know, but
I did say taking it to clean up is the best use of your time. She was like, because I'm like,
Sure.
oh, you can think at the same time, and then she's cleaning your
right,
workstation.
and have a clean. That's a good point.
Yeah,
She
so
did
we
do
go
that
on to
well.
part 2. They have to make it a amuse-bouche, best dish in one bite. Kalina goes with grilled venison with miso sweet potato puree, king oyster mushroom with black garlic and daikon pear. Charlie goes with espagueti, smoked herring, andouille sausage. Great combo of his roots, not worried about letting the dough rest. Tom, do you make pasta a lot? Charlie, sure. Not the answer to that question,
Not the best
Charlie.
reassuring
Yeah.
answer there, but
And Sue wants a perfect bite of Caesar salad with black garlic and fish sauce.
Which
aged
I am
balsamic.
so into.
it's,
Oh, yeah.
it's a madman over here.
Oh, just
I
wild.
love Caesar salad.
Substitute miso, lime zest, zhuzhed up the Caesar salad. He needs something. He's like, it's missing one thing.
This part was insane.
And he spots the smoker.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Wiley Dufresne.
Oh, this is what
Dufresne.
Wiley Dufresne. Yeah, this is what
Dufresne.
Dylan. This is a Dylan. He's like, you should say Wiley Dufresne tomorrow.
Okay, here you go. Here you go, Dylan.
Yeah,
Wiley
so-
Dufresne.
Because he does kind of like crazy things.
He does molecular gastronomy.
Yeah.
He used to own that
Ah.
restaurant WD-50 in New York.
Okay.
He's like one of the forefront of like that like experimental.
Yeah, Dylan's
Yeah.
going to be real
Making
happy about this
balloons and
part.
stuff. Oh, I know. Yeah.
All right.
I got you.
You're on the
I
same
guess you
page
did. I
as
guess you did it, Dylan.
Yeah, great. It's in there. Don't worry.
So we get to Tom's verdict.
Oh wait, hold on. I want to say one thing. Kalina, my favorite line of the whole
yeah.
episode. She was talking to Tom and she says, "I just want to make it good for you." And I was like, "Whoa, what?"
Look,
I was
just
like,
Tough.
that was some daddy energy.
I guess. So
yeah.
you-
Look,
you
I'm sure
compete.
Tom doesn't get caught off often. I feel like he was caught off. I think it might have jumped a little. I think that.
so funny.
I
Yeah, I
think
didn't
that.
even notice
Yeah. I'm
I
gonna
was
go.
like, oh, full like baby girl energy.
Yeah.
I just want to make it good for
Of
you. I was
course.
like, woo.
I mean, yeah. If you're, I can't imagine you're in that competition
Yeah.
and he's
adrenaline is
overseeing.
high.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
overseeing every time. Hell yeah, you're gonna have
Yeah.
that relationship.
Listen, I loved it.
Well,
Loved
guess
everything
what?
about it.
Tom's verdict. Kalina's miso corn sweet potato lushness in your mouth. Charlie has herring sauce full of flavor, a great bite, tons of umami. But Tom didn't like the pasta in his dish, which was the one thing that me and him were like, oof, when it was like,
Not
I'm going to
enough
try and
time.
make pasta. Yeah, it's hard. And you got to be a pasta king because pasta is like, I don't have to tell y'all.
Sure, everybody's so particular about it. So
Well, yeah, I'm gonna start making it every day. Like I think Joe Sasto, when he was on this, he makes pasta really fast.
Oh, wow.
oh yeah, he's that pasta guy.
Yeah, Sue, Tom said the smokiness was a good move. There's tons of umami.
Oh my god, yeah. And he said to him, he's like, it makes you think Caesar salad. Oh, why isn't it smoked?
Yeah.
I was like, wow, he just
Oh,
made
yeah.
Tom reconsider Caesar salad.
Sue
That's
is
crazy.
nuts. This is the perfect champion to come back in the show because I really think it's going to shake everything up.
I am
Unfortunately
definitely
for
rooting
us,
for him.
all these people are on your team. Unfortunately for us, these are just all people on your team
I've gotten
because
quite lucky.
both Kalina and Sue are going back to the competition, which means you have how many players versus
Well-
my 1 to 2?
Kalina's Mike's, so I don't
Mike's.
have her.
Shout
but
out. Yeah, sorry.
I do have Sue, which has
Oh,
been
man.
really great. Has been really great.
You have Sue and Rossica?
Yeah.
and Rosca and Dan.
You can't lose.
Yeah, I
You know,
mean,
yeah, there's some good
congratulations
people.
on your win.
I am. Yeah, I'm feeling good.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna tally up these points for why for me. Okay. As a reminder, you can find our scoring rules on our Instagram. At Top Chef Fantasy League. As you know, the quickfire dishes got 0.5 points. The quickfire winner got 1 point, which that is what Charlie got. The judge, if you make it to the judges table, you get +1. The elimination challenge winner gets 2 points. The last chance kitchen winner gets 5 points. Any
Half,
other
0.5.
yeah, 0.5 points. Sorry, 0.5
wish,
points.
I wish.
Yeah, I know. Were there any other points that we think might?
You know what I might have missed too? I didn't add in like the fact that going back into the competition, I think that's more.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I might actually look that up right. Let me
Yeah,
know on
We're gonna look it up
our
right now.
Instagram, Top Chef Fantasy League.
Yeah. You should be
Okay,
following it right now.
so yeah, there's like the one that says, last chance kitchen champion re-enter competition is +4. Holy
So
shit.
that is also 4 points. So I'm gonna add that too.
Yeah, so I guess I get
Yeah,
another
so-
4, and
yeah.
then Mike gets another 4
Yep.
for Kalina.
Wow, okay.
So wow, that
Yeah.
changes the game
Oh,
here.
interesting. Do you get 4 because he's not re-entering it? He's just entering it?
Oh, this is
Because I feel like he's not
Wow.
re-entering it. He's never been there.
Well, I feel
This-
like you're
okay.
getting brought out
That-
of Last Chance Kitchen. He is.
He is that's
yeah,
a good
he's-
point. It does say last chance kitchen champion
Yeah.
/ re-enter.
Oh,
So
okay.
maybe that could help, but
Yeah.
but that could have been a scary one for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like he's the champion though. If you're going in,
Sure.
Yeah.
Co-champs.
So that means that Sierra gained 8.5 points. I
Good lord, girl.
gained 2.5, and Mike gained 7.5 points, which
Iffy.
brings our final score of the episode. Me coming in, I don't even want to say dead last. I'd say visiting the gravestone last.
Sure.
8.5 points. Mike in second place with 16.75 points. So almost double, yep. And Sierra with 24.75 points. So yeah. I don't know.
Things are looking up here. For
Yeah, I'm
me,
hanging out. I'm hanging out.
But
Babe,
hey,
I'm so
look,
sorry.
It's still
So this is Top Chef Fantasy League for Sierra and Mike, and the Top Chef After Episode podcast for me.
Everyone needs a good host,
you never
baby.
know. Yeah, we gotta. I mean, let's see. There's gonna be. I'm just looking over some of the possible other point makers that could happen.
And
Well,
we don't
also-
have that
The
Amanda's
sous chef
gone
in the
yet.
finale. Yeah, Amanda could still be in there. Michelle is a strong player, so
But
I
also,
believe in her.
since they're going back, is everyone who's in Last Chance Kitchen now going to compete again, or?
The people that are already there probably will not, but the people who get eliminated now will go back in and fight. That's generally how it works.
Yeah. Okay. So those.
Valentine,
There's no hope.
Kenny.
There's no hope. Valentine, me. Kitty, me. Charlie, me.
Oh man.
Of course, Alicia was mine. She's out.
Yeah. So
But yeah.
well,
it
shout
is-
out to Alicia. How you doing?
Yeah.
Hopefully you're still
Hey.
checking it out. I didn't mean to call you a negative Nancy.
I will.
last episode.
Actually, one tiny tidbit I did because we follow Alicia and Kalina on the Instagrams. They posted some interview that they had about with the team challenge last week for the Frank Lloyd Wright. They were like, the edit made it seem like we were really at odds, and it really wasn't that bad.
Well, yeah, I feel like that's reality TV in general.
Fair. Bravo, we're on Bravo.
Bravo,
So
so
shout
yeah,
out to them
yeah.
for clearing
it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, after listening to
we're
us.
good, thanks.
Yeah.
We're good.
If looked
We're
in the
good
camera,
people.
iffy.
Read my lips, iffy.
Yeah. So if you have any thoughts or suggestions, drop us a line on Instagram at Top Chef Fantasy League. If you're doing your own Top Chef Fantasy League, please tag us. We want to see it. We want to see how it's going. You're probably doing better than me. For full unedited episodes, you can check us out on YouTube. And thanks again to my co-host, Sierra K-Tao. Sorry, Sierra K-Tao. And guest co-host, Emily Louise. We'll be back Monday next week. And thanks for listening. Top Chef Fantasy League is hosted and produced by Mike Cabalon, Sierra K-Tao, and Ify Wadiwe. Our theme song is composed by Dylan Van Auken. And a special thanks to Jarvis Johnson. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Top Chef Fantasy League. See you later. All right. Nice. I'm going to stop.